Debt is the best thing that ever happened. I said my account fluctuates sometimes $600,000-$700,000 a day. My investments in Goldman Sachs. I don't believe in day trading. I'm not saying you can't make a lot of money, but you can lose your. That's the last thing you should be thinking about is buying an exotic car. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to talk about a lot of videos on TikTok and YouTube on wealth generation and wealth strategies. Let's go ahead and listen to the first video.
If you're a guy in your 20s and you don't have a Lamborghini, you should actually sit down and have like a serious discussion with yourself as to why you don't have a Lambo. I realize now that it's so incredibly easy and there's so much money out there, especially now with AI tools that you can leverage. 200 grand is chump change.
I don't think anybody should really, why a Lamborghini or a Ferrari? That's the last thing you should be thinking about is buying an exotic car. One thing I always do is think about, can I get my money back out of this? You should be thinking about, what can I do to build rapid wealth and have money coming in every single week and every single month, having dividends come. I bought my house for $11 million. I bought the neighbor's house for about $4 million. I'm combining the properties, so I'm $15 million into these. And I'm adding about another $9 million between furniture, but the house should be worth $35 million. So I'm 24 in, it's worth 35. If interest rates come back down, I'm going to be able to pull out more than I got into. And that's the way you should be thinking about assets.
Last year, I went to Miami for the first time, and I met all these dudes who are out here and they're doing like 100, 200, 500 a month. And I was like, whoa, I got a lot of work to do. Yeah. And that's when I just started looking for a vehicle where I could just scale to the moon, bro. Cause that was when I realized I want to do this forever. I want to have longevity. I want to make a bunch of money. I want to have sort of a legacy kind of thing.
I'll give this guy 5 out of 5 because he understands who he needs to hang around with. He understands he needs people to show him that it's a possibility. He's looking for people that'll elevate his mindset, that'll make sure he understands it's possible to make more. This guy's understanding you are who you hang out with, right? Your network is your net worth. So we're at this restaurant about a month ago, and I got 7 successful buddies that were in a text messaging group. Very successful people that all are worth over 100 million. I said my account fluctuates sometimes $600,000-$700,000 a day, my investments in Goldman Sachs. And Ishmael, my buddy, goes, dude, I need to be at your level. He goes, I got to go back to work. When you start hanging out with successful people and you start pushing each other to that next level and seeing that it's a possibility, things great start to happen.
We spent $61,000 this month. Yeah. Which is ridiculous. And I'm not even including the G-Wagon that I just bought. Including the G-Wagon, I spent $261,000 in 1 month, which is a little absurd. Yeah.
You know, a lot of people talk about money, and this guy spent $61,000. What I can tell you is $61,000 is a really relative number. If I said, how much is a lot of money to you, and I was in a room of 100, everybody would give me a lot of different answers. I think if you're spending the money on ways to buy back your time, spending money on things to deepen relationships, it's okay to spend a lot of money. You look at Jack Welch in his GE years. He got very sick. He was on his deathbed. And as he was dying, even though he ended up living, he's still alive, a great man, one of the best CEOs of all time. He said, I wish I spent more money. I wish I lived a little more. And if you work hard, you're allowed to play hard. I believe that. And you should always mix the two. A lot of people say, I don't mix business with pleasure. I don't know any way other than to mix business with pleasure. So I think you should be mixing the both of them.
Tell me the biggest lie an adult has ever told you.
That debt is bad. I plan on being heavily in debt in my entire retirement. Let me show you why. I'm max funding a life insurance policy all the way until I'm 65 years old.
Debt is the best thing that ever happened if it's good debt. Let's just say you buy a house for $500,000 and you get your money back in 6 years based on the rent of Airbnb or however you want to do it, long-term rent. Without having debt, you cannot buy properties. Debt is a great thing. Unfortunately, most of the population cannot have leverage. People think what they would spend with $1 million. They don't think about how they would accumulate $1 million to bring them back healthy dividends. I give this guy a 5 out of 5 because I think you should be using debt to grow. Billionaires use debt. You have to if you're going to scale up in a lifetime.
So as of right now, I've got about $30 million worth of death benefits. So if I passed away today, my daughter would get about $30 million. It's a bad look for a 15-year-old. So I've got trusts in place that dictate how that money is spent. When I pass away, instead of her getting $30 million, it's trickled down to her, and the money has to go into a properly structured policy. So think about that. Death benefits are tax-free.
You, of course, want to have a death policy and a trust. My family will get lots and lots of money if I passed away before them. And I don't have kids yet, but when I have kids, it's not all just going to go to them in a lump sum. They got to hit certain milestones. For example, what a lot of people do is they'll say, I'll match whatever revenue you bring in. Otherwise, they end up spoiled little brats with a golden spoon in their mouth. And no matter what, they're driving first class around a private plane. Of course, they're a little bit spoiled. Where's that happy in between when you have a kid? You have them fly Southwest when you're on your charter plane? It's a tough question of how exactly you raise a family with a lot of wealth and not make sure they end up on drugs and just getting into really bad habits. habits.
There's this crazy concept in real estate that you can actually get a property without even getting a loan from the bank. What you would do is find a motivated seller and you would negotiate them to be able to finance you their property.
So this is called a land contract. So it's a seller finance opportunity in real estate, right? And of course, right now I'm thinking about doing this because guess why? I could get somebody to give me a lump sum down, $50,000, $100,000. I have a 3-year where I negotiated 5% loan. Right now it's 8%. I got a really good tenant there, right? They're keeping up the house because now they're owners. They're the best tenants you could have because they're owners of the property. So if that loan falls out, let's say after 3 years they can't come up with a balloon payment, the house is in great condition and they'll leave on great terms because you took care of them and you're getting a big principal payment down up front and you're still making great interest. You know, most really, really wealthy people, they don't try to make 10, 12, 15%. I mean, I know a lot of people with over $100 million and to hit crazy 10% plus returns every single year, it's just not realistic. You can put your money into some dangerous things and you can make a greater ROI, but you got a lot more at stake.
Here are 3 things that me and my wife did in our 20s to become millionaires by the time we turned 30.
So the first thing we did was house hack. We bought a 4-unit property and lived in one of the units and rented out the rest.
This helped us to eliminate our housing payment, and then we turned it into a cash flowing rental after a year.
The second thing we did was invest our time, money, and energy into learning new skills.
This was huge for us. We tried a bunch of different business ventures like dropshipping, clothing business, etc.
And the third thing is, I know we were joking about this before, but when we married each other, we chose good life partners.
Yes, good advice. Obviously, 5 out of 5. I think you want to invest in yourself as much as possible. Invest into your brand. Great marriage. Invest in yourself. Real estate's a good idea, but real estate is a job. People think, man, if I just invest in this passive income, you got to have your HVAC, you got to have your landscaper, you got to have people doing inspections, you got to make sure you got good renters. And it could be very lucrative, but it's a lot of work. And you got to be diversified because a lot of people went broke 2009, 2010. Everybody says real estate's the magic pill and there's a lot of money to be made there. The fact is, it could go south. Look at San Francisco. Half of the commercial buildings are vacant right now. You know, so you got to be careful in real estate as well.
What was your biggest win?
Mine is a 7K day on a prop firm.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm still working on getting funded right now, but past phase 1 and solid day. It was a 10K account, so not too much, but I was at least 5% in a day. No, not too bad.
My biggest in a single day was my first day trading. Traded oil, had $1,000 in an account, took it to around just under $5,000, dropped like a 10.0 on oil.
So you listen to these guys like money, day traders. It's kind of like a gambler. They talk about the wins, but you never hear the losses. I'm a big fan of Goldman Sachs. That's who I work with. These guys don't promise 10%. They try to do the best they could and try to get you a profit every year. Try to get you diversified. I don't believe in day trading. I'm not saying you can't make a lot of money, but you could lose your ass. They built softwares to try to understand trends and understand graphs. I've never seen anybody stick to that and make a killing unless they're conservative. Warren Buffett said he never really thinks about quick returns. The best investors in the world, they love the stocks they invest in. They understand the business plan. They're very familiar with it and they play the long game.
You want to be rich? Stop acting broke. Rich is here. This doesn't make you rich. This is a byproduct of this. You go from here to here. So the mentality is what creates this.
100%, 5 out of 5. This guy understands your mindset. Thinking about yourself, manifesting like you're already wealthy, daily affirmations. It sounds like a bunch of bullshit, but it actually works. When you start saying I can, and you start understanding you could make money, you could be extremely profitable. The nice material things are not what wealth is really about. It's about a mindset of giving. It's about living your best life. I talk about going first class through life. If you could buy your way into better experiences, deepen relationships, and enjoy yourself, you should do it all the time, and it's a mindset thing. Hopefully there's some good money tips that you guys can appreciate. The biggest thing is learning how to save more than you spend. You should invest in coaches. You should invest in books and podcasts. You should be educating yourself. I don't think TikTok's the best spot for that. Maybe it is in China because they get a lot better materials. What I do think is readers are leaders. You read a lot. You educate yourself. You live on a lower budget than you can afford, and you reinvest into yourself. You got to ask yourself every time you buy something until you accumulate a lot of wealth is, do I need this? You know, I always look at finite math in the back on the indexes, and it shows what money reinvested in for 30 or 40 years can accumulate to. And there's a great book called Everyday Millionaires. It's easy to accumulate it, but so many people, they raise their livelihood. Like they buy 2 houses and one of them is not even a rental. It's a summer house. And they buy all these cars and they've got all these insurance bills and they've got all this different things to maintain. And it's hard to really get ahead. And that's okay. I mean, if they got enough to retire with. But if they just had a little delayed gratification, they'd be way more successful. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like it. Comment on this video. Tell me what questions you have and I'll make sure I answer them. If there's a video you want me to look at and rate, I'd love to do it. Post it here. And thanks for watching.